All right, so SpaceX AI recently launched Grok Bot, which is basically a similar version of Cowork, but it's really cool because instead of just having threads that you work in, there's actually these bots that act more like, employees that you give things to, and then they pass work to each other and they work together, and it's really cool. And so I went with the $200 a month Cursor Ultra plan, I believe it's called. You can also access Grokbot with the super heavy Grok plan, but I decided to go with the $200 a month one instead of the $300 a month one because if I want to use like the basically just chatbot kind of features of Grok, I can just use like Claude or ChatGPT, which I'm already paying for as well. And so because I'm mainly just going to be working within Grokbot, the $200 a month one made the most sense. But before working on some actual like client projects and stuff like that, I decided to hop in and just work on some of my own stuff just to make sure I understood exactly how this worked, saw that the quality was good and all that. So I started off with one bot here on the left, just this personal assistant one, just breaking down all the stuff that I do personally with like my personal brand and some of my other personal projects, like the podcast I run and this dunk squad that I run in Minnesota, where we do events and stuff like that. And it spun up a few bots. I didn't actually have to create these bots, it did it for me, so that was cool. And then I started out with this personal brand one because for a while here, as you can see, this is my personal brand website. I've put quite a bit of work into it. Within the past couple of years, DataSU has helped me get quite a few speaking opportunities, which have been really cool. And one thing that I didn't really have in place before was a place that actually showed all of those speaking opportunities. And so I did create this page here, the general format of it, and it just shows my speaking. It shows this right here. This is pretty cool. And then obviously it just goes down the list of all the stuff I've done. And then I also was on the news last year after winning a dunk contest in Minnesota. And so I was on KARE 11 in Minnesota. We did a little story pre-recorded earlier in the day, then it went live later at night. And so that was cool. But again, I didn't have a place for my news features to live, and I didn't really bother taking care of it and creating a page because I had only done one thing. But then recently I was on Fox 5 Atlanta Live talking about Shaquille O'Neal's new DunkMan League. So then I had two news appearances and I was like, okay, I definitely need a page for this as well. So I gave Grokbot just a decent bit of context, nothing too crazy, but I gave it plenty and it went in and it was able to, one, enhance this page here to include my most recent speaking thing where I spoke alongside Dennis Yu at the dunk camp about how dunkers can use the techniques that we do for personal branding and stuff like that. It embedded the video and it even took, or it included a link to the video, and then it even included like the link that we talked about in the presentation. So I'm guessing it was able to access the transcript and stuff like that to make all this great. And again, I gave it very minimal context here. I just kind of wanted to see how it would work by seeing all this other stuff that had already been there and whatever. And then it also created an article on my website, which was based on the transcript, which is pretty obvious just based on the quality of the article. And I will say the first go at this article was not too great. I didn't really give it very much context, but then I told it to look at some of my other work on my website, plus like the BlitzMetrics article guidelines and stuff like that. And it came back with a much, much better piece. So as you can see, it's including actual quotes from the actual presentation. It's interlinking to other things that we mentioned within this. And so I did a really good job with this article. And you can't see it right now. My internet's terrible, but the video is embedded. And the video is embedded at the top right now, or at least it should be, but my internet sucks, so you can't see it. And then I also told it to build that kind of hub on my site for the news as well. And so if you go down, it also did create this here on the home page, which is cool. But if you go to see all news, it basically cloned that speaking page and made one for my news features. So it's got this Fox 5 Atlanta one. Again, it's got the KARE 11 one. And then same thing. It's got links to the actual videos for these as well as articles, which are, again, very high quality. Got the embedded video. They've got interlinking and all this stuff. And so it did a really good job with very minimal context. The one thing I will say is I did give it access to my the knowledge base that I have on my computer, which is just like a bunch of all of the files and things like that. Every client or partner that I work with, I create a knowledge base for them, basically just having, I guess I've used Claude mainly, so I've used Claude to scrape the internet about them, scrape all the context that I can find about them, my email and stuff like that, and build these knowledge bases, and then obviously interlinks together within this all these files to create this massive web of information. And so I will say I did have access to this, but that's a good thing, obviously. But I'm very impressed with Grokbot so far. I think that I'm definitely ready now to go and work on some other projects with it. Start to work on some client stuff, build more bots here, get more connectors and all that. But yeah, I think I've always, and Dennis has said this for a really long time as well, I would be very surprised if XAI or SpaceX AI, I should say, does not have one of, if not the best models in the world. They already do, but this is really cool. This is really crazy. I love the idea, not the idea, but I love how they actually found a way to make this work because I haven't seen this done well before with Claude. It can kind of, whatever, you can kind of, it can you know, obviously you can get information and then give that to other threads that you're working on and stuff like that. But this is something where it doesn't have to actually tell you like, oh yeah, you should boot up another thread and tell it to do this. Like it's actually just going and doing that for you. It'll literally create like a new employee for you and then hand them tasks. And so some other stuff I'm working on right now is like having it look at my email every morning, delete the junk or whatever, and then route the easy tasks to like bots that can do things. Like there's just so many opportunities with this, and I think it's really cool. So I'm excited to try this out. Let me know what you guys are doing with Grokbot, Claude Cowork, whatever you're working on. And yeah, I'm really excited to continue to get better and use this. So yeah.